Wait till you see this, Snapchat. First on our list is the most recent ad, initially released on January 26, 2023 via Snapchat's YouTube channel. It also made some appearances on TV, though gained much of its attention via the YouTube upload, which has almost 40 million views. It gained massive backlash for how disturbing it is, as the spot showcases much of Snapchat's filter technology. This is expressed with a variety of transforming faces, with characters having elongated noses and long beady eyes with elongated creepy smiles. There's also this freakish looking dog monster of multiple limbs, which shares a room with this woman from earlier, with the head of a canine. The end of the ad is the most chilling, with all the subway attendees staring at you with these now familiar large eyes and haunting grins.
And weirdly enough, that helps us all see ourselves and each other just a little more clearly. The floor is beans.
The video currently has its likes and dislikes turned off, though it probably is up there as one of the most disliked YouTube uploads of all time. It's pretty understandable why, especially when reading all the comments below it. Whoever made this should be using their talents elsewhere, like in a horror movie where this so desperately belongs.
What if you could see the world in a more interesting way? You could finally work with horses. You love horses.
Nose, McDonald's. This is a slightly older commercial from a fast food giant, released in 2008 in an advertisement of the brand's coffee. It shows this man laughing hysterically as we see his enormously long nose. It pans to the right, making you nervous as you anticipate what's at the other end. The music is really eerie and uncomforting, right up until we see the other man, also attached at the nose. It's some freakish Pinocchio-related dream, I guess, which is interrupted by the ringing alarm clock. Presumably, the message here is that McDonald's coffee is the only way to stop having such bizarre dreams. There really isn't much else known about this TV commercial, besides the fact that it's just flat out weird.
Consomme Panchi, Calby. This dog has been the center of many memes, usually revolving around how weird and unnerving it looks. These first began to spread online in 2007 via the now defunct website japanprobe.com. Japanese ads are known for being incredibly bizarre, but this one takes the cake due to Consomme himself. He shows up whenever this little boy is feeling down, entertaining him with all sorts of props. When this doesn't work, he offers him some Calby potato chips, which always seems to do the trick.
Consomme, consomme, consomme panchi. Ponchi じゃないよ、コンソメパンチ。うまさが効いてるコンソメパンチ。コンソメ、コンソメ、コンソメパンチ。コンソメ、コンソメ、コンソメパンチ。パンチで元気、コンソメパンチ。
This character, though, comes off as extremely uncanny. He's a 6-foot-tall golden retriever with humanoid movements, while also having a static and unflinching expression. A new Calby commercial was released in 2012, this time taking place near a baseball field. Consomme fights over a bag of potato chips with another dog, this time a real one, until transforming into this awful puppet.
Consomme, consomme, consomme panchi. New. Ponchi じゃないよ、コンソメパンチ。うまさが効いてるコンソメパンチ。コンソメ、コンソメ、コンソメパンチ。New. Consomme, consomme, consomme panchi. Panchi で元気、コンソメパンチ。
Yogurt Boy Skittles. Released in 2020 shortly after Super Bowl Sunday, this ad for Skittles dips introduces what seems to be some sort of a mascot. This rich kid asks his butler Higgins for some yogurt-covered Skittles, which he hesitantly agrees to. He goes down to the kitchen to find this horrific monstrosity, a creature made out of yogurt. Referred to as Yogurt Boy, Higgins then jams a piece of Skittles into its body, where it spazzes out uncontrollably. And to his horror, the boy then asks for more of these covered candies.
Yogurt boy.
Creamy. More.
Pacify the rainbow! Taste the rainbow!
The design and animation of this Yogurt Boy made many uncomfortable when it was first released, with some even referring to it as some sort of an SCP creature. The commercial and its supposed mascot obviously did not catch on, and instead just added itself onto the list of Skittles' messed up adverts.
Judderman Mets. Also referred to as simply Forest, this commercial for the alcohol brand Mets scared lots of kids back when it aired in early 2000. Much of the production was conducted in the UK, with many influences from the 1988 Czechoslovakian adaptation of Alice in Wonderland. The ad is narrated by Alicia Filder, who reads a poem about the mysterious Judderman. He's this Jack Frost type character, who begins stalking a lost traveler in this beautiful snowy forest. He then approaches, offering the man some Mets and luring him towards his lair. He is unwary, but takes a drink anyways as the Judderman laughs in delight. He is slowly transformed into a marionette puppet, who is being controlled by another puppet of the Judderman. We then get the tagline, "Beware the Judderman, my dear, when the moon is fat."
Beware the Judderman, my dear, when the moon is fat. Sharp of tongue and spindle-limbed he is, and cunning. With sweetened talk of schnapps and mets and the deliciousness of judders. But schnapps though sweet as teeth, my love, and sharpened ones at that. Beware the Judderman, my dear, when the moon is fat. Judderbedia mets och schnapps.
This commercial gained a positive reception, with many praising it for its sense of atmosphere and creativity, and I have to agree. It just looks amazing and holds up over 20 years later. It was once voted the scariest ad in all of the UK and was restricted to airing late at night.
Meet Graham, the TAC. This PSA for Victoria's Transport Accident Commission has gained mixed reactions from viewers. It was first seen in 2016. Some saw this as laughable or just insanely creepy. It showcases Graham, a humanoid who's designed to be able to survive car collisions on our roads. He has a massive head with barely a neck, long feet, wide shoulders, and multiple nipples for some reason. He just looks, well, uncanny. What makes this more so is the fact that Graham is real. This isn't CGI you're looking at, it's an actual life-size model, which was further showcased in other videos made by the TAC. You can even go online and view detailed digital models of his insides, skeleton and all.
Giant bugs. Orkin. In 2010, the pest control company Orkin released a series of ads with these giant human-sized rodents and bugs. They all began with these pests attempting to make their way into a family's home, or are already in it as seen in the rat commercial. In that one, the family arrives home from vacation early and finds these two enormous rat monsters playing what's probably Guitar Hero.
You.
We're not supposed to be back until Sunday. We could use the boy. Yeah. On drums.
Luckily, the Orkin pest control specialist comes to the family's aid and kicks these rats out as they escape on a hot rod. The others have giant bugs knocking on the front door, attempting to coerce the homeowner into letting them in, but failing when Orkin shows up. The first has 2 ants delivering a new couch.
Hello. We're here to deliver your new couch.
Couch?
It has a matching ottoman. Sugar.
Another has a cockroach pretending to be a pizza delivery boy.
I don't think we ordered any pizzas.
Why don't I, place this on your table?
And the final one has a termite who insisted his car broke down.
How are you this morning? I was wondering if I could use your phone. My car broke down a few blocks over, and is that Oak? I want to try and call my brother-in-law.
These creatures have really deep and ominous voices that add to the creepier vibe they are supposed to give. These ads are able to mix both a creepy and goofy vibe super well, and many TV viewers remember these fondly to this day.
Bad breath kills from a mouthwash. Definitely one of the most jarring product advertisements you'll see here. What you're about to witness is indeed promoting mouthwash. We see a group of soldiers carrying a man into a gas chamber, and then strap him down so he can't escape. The door is then sealed, as we then hear the ticking of a clock. The leader then signals for the gassing to begin, though instead of a poisonous substance, it's a bunch of mouths which open to spread their bad breath. Many were confused on what this commercial was going for, with some criticizing the use of a gas chamber due to its horrific historical uses. This hatred wasn't widespread enough though, due to it seemingly being only shown in Indonesia. Because of that, the ad remained obscure, with no proper re-uploads being found on YouTube.
Worm, MSN. This commercial is mostly recognizable due to the YouTube channel Vinesauce, which commonly used a worm abomination as a meme. Said worm has a really uncanny and disturbing face, which seems to use late 90s CGI or a really convincing puppet. He stares into the distance, all sad and alone. That's until a man with a shovel cuts him in half, inadvertently creating a twin worm. This brings joy back into his life, and they begin playing with a ball. Now, if you're not 5 years old, you'll know that chopping a worm in half does not create another one. Instead, you just get 2 halves of one dead worm, though I expect you didn't need me to tell you that. Besides all of that, this was just a simple commercial meant to promote Microsoft's MSN service back in 1999.
Faroe Islands, Whale and Dolphin Conservation Society. A PSA meant to educate many on the hunting of pilot whales, specifically in the Faroe Islands north of the UK. Released back in 1989, it has this striking and vibrant paint style to it, which is used to its advantage. A narrator tells us the specifics on the hunt, or slaughter, as we see groups of fishermen harpoon and skewer these whales. They experience a slow and painful death with their haunting cries filling the air to the people's delight. The barely eaten carcasses are left to rot on the beach as the PSA fades out.
First of all, they herd the whales into the harbor. Then they harpoon them. and then cut them up with hunting knives while they're still alive. The noise you can hear is the whale screaming as it experiences this horrific death. The more the whale scream, the more the crowd seem to enjoy it. Meat is then distributed to the crowd, and once their freezers are crammed full, the rest is left on the beach to rot.
Now, it must be said that not everything here is accurate. These specific whales aren't endangered, only a small number of them are killed, and those that are killed later go on to be used for science. They're not killed inhumanely, and they clean them off the beach once gutted. The cries of the whales and the imagery are just one elaborate way of appealing to one's emotions.
Humpty Dumpty, Kinder. This 1983 ad comes from the Italian candy company Ferrero, who made it in order to further push the Kinder surprise eggs. It predominantly aired in the UK, since the eggs were banned in other countries such as the United States. This is due to the toys inside being considered a choking hazard, though this ban was lifted in 2017 after placing the toys on the outside. This ban did mean one good thing though, that this commercial would have never been allowed to air in the States. It shows a creepy flesh-colored Humpty Dumpty with the most uncomfortable face possible. He spouts out a bunch of bizarre phrases when opening up one of the Kinder eggs, playing with the toys before losing his balance and thankfully falling over.
Kinder, Yibbo shaky. Me unscrabbly. Chocka doobie! Doubly chocka doobie! Pop swabble! Toy! Yodel yum and choco scrum with multi pop swabble dies! Oh, grubbly! Me scrubble now! Snuggle! Whee!
Kinder Surprise from Ferrero.
This wouldn't be as bad if the camera didn't keep zooming into his uncanny face, with his blank eyes and mischievous grin, after many different complaints came rolling in, due to children being easily frightened by Humpty. This ad would be quickly taken off the air.
The Dawn is Your Enemy, Adult Swim. Many of Adult Swim's bumpers and commercials could easily fit onto this list, but for the sake of variety, only a few choices will be mentioned. The Dawn is Your Enemy is one of the more notorious, as it was purposely made to scare people from watching Adult Swim late into the night. It was also meant to scare kids off from watching the channel in general. It shows a worn face in the skyline with the sun below it, showing the text, "The Dawn is Your Enemy." Eerie music and various screams can be heard in the background, meant to instill a bit of fear into you. This would last 20 or so seconds, and according to rumors, the sun would blink towards the end. It would air around 3 to 4 AM between 2005 and 2010. Surprisingly, the bumper began airing again in May 2020 with a humorous twist. It now reads, "The Dawn is Your Frenemy," with a balloon appearing and a much more gleeful piano music. It ends with a fourth wall break, admitting that this isn't as effective as the original version.
My Little Puppy, RSPCA. The Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, which really needs to shorten its name, made quite a few soul-crushing ads that relied much on shock value. Their most famous PSA even showed a dog having a gun pointed towards its head, but this one I find more jarring as it presents itself as a simple commercial advertising a puppy. It appears kid-friendly, showcasing this adorable little puppy as it jumps around and starts causing trouble. The fucked up part is when the father has enough of this and stuffs the young dog into a bag and tosses it into a river.
He's fun, he's cute, he's crazy, he's My Little Puppy. Hours of fun for all the family. My Little Puppy comes completely unhouse trained and enjoys being taken for lots of walks, needs feeding on a regular basis, and requires endless love and attention. And when all the fun's over, he's easily stored away.
The message is clear, but will get overlooked after showing such imagery. Dogs are not toys that you can just throw away once you're done with them. In 2001, this ad gained a good amount of complaints, leading to an edited version being released. This one doesn't show the dog being stuffed into the bag and killed, instead just fading to the logo and message. You can currently find both edits online.
You cannot beat us, Nintendo. CGI has had its ups and downs when it comes to television, especially so when it comes to the 1980s. As a way to promote the new Nintendo Entertainment System in 1985, the company released this commercial to just Australia, though it was later removed due to disturbing many kids who viewed it. It showcases many different Nintendo characters in this older-looking CGI art style, taunting the watcher by saying you can't beat their games. Instead of coming across as playful and witty, it appears more threatening and worrisome, like a Courage the Cowardly Dog villain. We are then introduced to what appears to be Steve from Minecraft after snorting several bags of coke and talking in a creepy robotic voice. Then we see the Duck Hunt dog, Smick from the game Gyromite, Lakitus on his cloud, and King Koopa, aka Bowser. Their menacing glazes and gravelly voices add so much to the unintended horror this ad brings, even worse with how poor it aged.
We are Nintendo Ultimate TV Game System. We challenge all players. You cannot beat us. Aim your zapper gun. You cannot beat us. Even with your robot partner, you cannot beat us. Score 1 million. You cannot beat us. Discover new worlds. You cannot beat us. We are Nintendo. We challenge all players. You cannot beat us.
Oil painting, Greenpeace. In response to the 2011 Rena oil spill in New Zealand, Greenpeace made this PIF to showcase its true horror. For the first 40 seconds, we see a stop-motion collage of oil paintings resembling birds. It's confusing why, until we see the dead penguin who made it. It's covered head to toe in oil as a result of the spill, with the message, "Over 20,000 birds were killed by the Rena oil spill. Deep-sea oil drilling could be 1,000 times worse." We then zoom out to see the hundreds of oil paintings made out of these dead animals, before ending on the Greenpeace logo. Playing in the background is No Surprises by Radiohead, which matches in sync really well. Many are mixed on how Greenpeace chose to portray this message, as it comes off as depressing more than anything else.
Second Evil Head, Mike's Hard Iced Tea. Just a simple early 2000s ad for alcohol, with a freakish second hand sprouting from this guy's neck. It's a creepy design that's enhanced by the voice and audible grunts this creature belches. Both heads are surprised to learn how refreshing Mike's Hard Iced Tea can be, as they and a co-worker then go to the bar and get some. There's not too much to say on this one besides the creepy second head itself, which looks like it came straight out of a low-budget 80s horror movie.
What's wrong, Jim?
I think I've grown a second evil head.
Oh, I'm sorry. What if we go get a refreshing Mike's Hard Iced Tea? Would that help?
I didn't know Mike's made a hard iced tea.
You bet they do.
A hard day calls for a hard iced tea. Make it Mike's.
Chase, International Fund for Animal Welfare. What I really like about this PSA is how well the atmosphere builds up from the start. We are in a fox's point of view as it runs throughout the woodlands, scurrying around before almost getting hit by a car. A sense of anxiety is felt as the fox starts panting more and more heavily, the ambience building higher. As soon as it enters its hole, multiple dogs come up from behind and drag it out, with the final blow being dealt by the hunter. The ending has some genuine horror movie style editing with black and white photos of dead foxes. Released in 1997, this short film was made in order to get fox hunting banned, which did actually work. By 2004, the hunting of foxes was banned in all of the UK.
The Heart She Holler, Adult Swim. You usually don't find TV show promos on lists like these, but that really goes to show how messed up Adult Swim's promos can be. So much so that this promo usually overshadows the show it's actually trying to promote. That series in question is The Heart She Holler, aired on Adult Swim from November of 2011 to December of 2014 with a total of 3 seasons and 28 episodes. It's described as a southern gothic drama bordering on a soap opera, starring such talents as Patton Oswalt and Amy Sedaris. It involves the inner conflicts of the Heast-She family, with one of the members being the matriarch, Meemaw, played by Judith Anna Roberts. This ghoulish character appeared in a promo advertising new episodes of The Heart She Holler. We see Meemaw laughing maniacally at the camera with blood spouting from her mouth. Said blood then forms into the show's logo, advertising the new schedule. Her appearance is downright bone-chilling. Mainly so if someone sees this late at night when it aired. I personally did. There's actually a second bumper that aired, but that one's only partially found via a low-quality TV recording.
Run Like Hell, The Real Cost. The Real Cost is notorious for producing some of the worst anti-smoking PSAs of all time, with gems such as Metal Monsters.
To show how scary that is, we made Metal Monsters. But nothing is as scary as the facts.
And Bathroom. But one that gets its message across a little more subtly is the series of ads involving this alien-looking monster. It represents a personification of cigarettes. This slimy-looking Cloverfield creature, which tries to latch onto you at any opportunity that it can. It's a well-executed design that freaked many viewers out when these first started airing in the mid-2010s. The more well-known of the two shows a science class, as the professor explains the harmful long-term side effects of smoking cigarettes. The creature then slowly begins to move, before jolting back to life and scaring everybody out of the class.
Acrolein, nitrobenzene. This actually has over 7,000 chemicals. Don't get me started on what they do to you. Prematurely wrinkled skin, stunted lung growth.
Mr. Essler.
Tooth loss, cancer.
Mr. Essler.
Hang on.
If cigarettes looked as dangerous as they are, you'd run like hell. Find out the real cost of tobacco.
The other ad just shows a group of kids finding the monster under some bleachers before it begins attacking and escapes into a pack of cigarettes.
What is it? Go, Sophie.
Oh.
What? Get it off!
Guys?
You alright?
If cigarettes looked as dangerous as they are, you'd run like hell. Find out the real cost of tobacco.
The Real Cost did shoot themselves in the foot a little bit though, releasing some jump scare bumpers with this creature. Think of that as you will.
Chocolate Man Lynx. Despite the name and the subject matter you'll see, this commercial is actually advertising a deodorant brand. It shows this young man using said product before turning into a chocolate monstrosity with bulging white eyes and a shit-eating grin. He walks around town with much confidence as women from all around stare and gawk at him. He is licked, caressed, and at one point sexually assaulted when this woman takes a bite out of his ass. The tagline is brilliant, saying that the deodorant is as irresistible to girls as chocolate is. While the facial expression and static movements of the chocolate man is creepy, it does get balanced out quite a bit by the sharp comedy. Another commercial was made years later. The main difference from the 2008 one is that this version removes the implications of sexual assault. Fun fact, the chocolate suit here was made by Stan Winston Studios.
Red Banana Antiviolence. This next PIF is more directly made as a short film, with a long list of end credits to boot. It was made in Italy and released back in 2004, with certain airings having condensed versions, as to not show the full carnage as implied. It features a little girl in a light blue room filled with toys. Despite how attention-getting they all are, one sticks out to her, a red banana. She glances over to see a group of people behind the window, observing her. This science experiment, this extremely messed up one, ends when she touches the banana and explodes into many pieces. We don't see the explosion itself, but we do see her bloody foot laying on the ground. Truly disturbing stuff. And what's the message, you ask? Don't touch landmines, despite them looking like oddly colored fruit. Weirdly enough, many of these toys are Disney related, and It's a Small World plays in the background. Did the Mouse House have any part of this Italian production?
Lonely Water. Central Office of Information. Another PIF in the form of a short film, this one dating back to 1973. It stars Donald Pleasance as our main character, the spirit of the dark and lonely water. If you're unfamiliar with Donald, you may know him for his roles in the original Halloween films, his portrayal of Blofeld in You Only Live Twice, and his supporting role in Wake and Fright. Here he plays the personification of the dangers of water, narrating how he entraps and drowns kids. We're shown this through the first two kids, one who is a show-off, and the other who is unwary.
But the unwary ones are easier still. This branch is weak, rotten. It'll never take his weight.
Only those with common sense can survive his trap, as shown in the last segment where a boy is saved by his friends. These sensible children, as he describes them, are the only ones who can truly defeat him, though at the end he warns that he'll be back.
I'll be back.
The spirit is also seen as a representation of the Grim Reaper, with the typical dark cloak and affinity for death. This PSA really did its job well, perhaps too well, as it reportedly made many kids not want to go in the water ever again. It became infamous as one of the UK's scariest PSAs.
KitKat, Greenpeace. Styled in a similar manner to an actual KitKat ad, a bored office worker decides to take a break and munch on some chocolate confectionery. Instead, however, the bar is an orangutan's finger, which he doesn't seem to mind. To the horror of all of his co-workers, he takes a bite, with the excruciating sound of bone cracking being heard. Blood then leaks from his mouth, now realizing what he's doing. This PSA was meant as a way to criticize
Nestle,
the company that produces and distributes KitKat.
Nestle
buys palm oil from sketchy companies in Indonesia, which is obtained by cutting down trees in Southeast Asian rainforests. This poses a direct threat to the orangutans who live there, leading to them being considered endangered. Once this clip started going viral,
Nestle
so got it successfully taken down due to copyright. This really only harmed their reputation even further, as they were censoring direct opposition. You can still find re-uploads on YouTube though, and it was reposted to other platforms.
Crinkles the Clown Post. This one is just a classic. Airing in 1956, the spot advertises post-sugar rice crinkles, a now defunct cereal that had a rough time when it came to mascots. Their first attempt was Crinkles the Clown. Played by an unknown actor in his commercial, we see him wake up in a tiny house, emerging out of it with a horrible jump cut. He makes his way to a table, which happens to already have his favorite cereal prepared for him. He describes how good it tastes, adding that he crinkles every time he eats it.
Breakfast! I'm hungry! Take it from Crinkles. That's me. The best breakfast under the big top is post-sugar rice Crinkles. So crinkly, so delicious, so different. Each grain of rice in sugar rice Crinkles is crinkled with honey and sugar. It's so good, I crinkle every time I eat it. Yep, no matter what other rice cereal you've ever tried, you'll love post-sugar rice Crinkles best of all. Honey and sugar make it different and wonderful. A circus of fun to eat. So you crinkle on down to the store for post-sugar rice Crinkles, the greatest cereal treat on earth.
For most of the ad, his large unflinching eyes stare directly at you, almost in a menacing way. This was obviously unintended back when it aired, but viewers saw otherwise. He became sort of a meme, with many making edits to the commercial to adjust its vibe. Crinkles' face was even shown on the cereal box, giving out a bone-chilling smile. Despite how horrifying he definitely was to children, he's surprisingly not the most controversial mascot Post has ever had. Starting in the 60s, they introduced Sohai, a stereotypical Chinese boy who spoke in a racist accent. He's named that way due to being short, as he can only reach so high.
Collect them all, convertible, hardtop, and fastback. Race with your friends. You go vroom vroom when you get Mustang car free inside Post Rice Crinkles.
Only jerks mess with fireworks. SIRE. These were the PSAs that inspired me to remake this list, after first mentioning it in the final episode of Disturbing YouTube Videos / Channels. They were released in 1997 by the Dutch organization SIRE, or SIRE, which I couldn't really find much about. These 3 PSAs all won awards at the Cannes Film Festival, due to their unsettling yet well-told message. The first one is titled Countdown and shows various hands counting down to 10, though as each number is said, a finger goes missing. The visuals of these hands are super creepy, especially since these seem to belong to real people. It ends with someone showing off the stubs they now have after a near-deadly firework accident. The second ad is the most brilliant, showing a similar setup with the black and white hands. You see how difficult sign language can be for someone affected by a firework accident, since not only can't they hear, but they can't properly say anything with the lack of fingers. The final ad shows a man digging for a booger, using his freakish toe thumb as he lost his real one in a, you guessed it, firework accident.
Boy, nationwide. Commonly cited as one of the worst Super Bowl commercials of all time, let alone commercials in general, this spot caused massive amounts of outrage due to its shocking content. We see a young boy telling us what he won't be able to accomplish. We don't know why just yet. Everything about it seems weirdly melancholy, especially with how inspired the visuals appear to be. Then, the true intent of this ad comes about, hitting you right in the face.
I'll never learn to fly.
or travel the world with my best friend. And I won't ever get married. I couldn't grow up because I died from an accident.
This boy couldn't grow up because he died, all due to drowning in his bathtub. You'd think this is a PSA of sorts warning parents to be careful about this sort of thing, but instead we learn that this is advertising insurance. It's a commercial for Nationwide, letting you know that even if your kid dies, you can at least get some money from it. They try sending a safety message, but it falls flat due to the type of company that they really are. This can be perfectly summed up by a comment from Gary Grandy, which reads, "If your kid dies, you'll get $50K. What made this even more shocking is when it aired. You'd expect cheery and hilarious TV spots during the Super Bowl, but instead you just saw how a fictional child died.
Shoeboxes. Africare Rwanda Relief Appeal. Unlike the previous ad, this one more effectively uses shock value as part of its message. It subverts your expectations of a typical PIF being self-aware. This was released only a year after the Rwandan genocide, a 100-day travesty where various ethnic groups were rounded up and killed by the Hutu militias. The PIF plays various footage of Rwandan children, starting off as mundane, before soon getting gruesome. Text will intercut in, reading, "We know you hate being asked for money, so please send your old shoeboxes. We are running out of coffins. Give what you can." The message is straight up precise and haunting at the same time.
Ventriloquist, NSPCC. This puppet is a representation of an abused child being emotionally controlled by a father, who is represented as a twisted ventriloquist. No matter where she goes, he's always there in some way, making her feel useless and afraid to speak up. The creepiest part is the dinner scene, when she can't even properly respond to her mother due to her emotional state. While this message and portrayal of it is quite obvious, it's still done really well. The ventriloquist puppet itself is rather impressive and shows the complex emotions the child is facing. This PSA was released back in 2004 within the UK, even appearing at some film-related festivals.
Who can tell me? Hands up. 9 times 8. Sally, do you know the answer? Shush.
Do you want to come by my house after school?
Nah.
Sally, you're not eating again. What's wrong?
I'm fine. Can I go now?
Thousands of children desperately need someone to turn to. Call now and help us be there for them.
Baby, PlayStation. Fun fact, the campaign this was part of cost $150 million. There were some other weird commercials made to promote the PS3, but this one takes the cake. It tries to appear all artsy and lavish with its special effects, making it seem like it's promoting some landmark in mankind's technological advancements, when it instead appears as some nightmare you'd most likely forget about in a few days. It begins in this all-white room with a naked baby doll awakening from a nap. He begins awing at the might of the PS3, before making some bizarre sound effects such as a chimpanzee's laugh. Tears roll down from its blank eyes before rolling back in as the game console elevates. What the hell does any of this have to do with the PlayStation? Well, it's meant to compare older style toys to the newer ones, showing how far we've come from the simplicity of dolls. They did other ads featuring a Rubik's Cube and ooze. Strange choice, but I guess not that strange compared to the baby commercial. It's usually ridiculed online for the creepy editing and nonsensical plot, which really distracts from what the PlayStation was really going for.
Tentacle. Dunkelziffer. A child abuse PSA from Germany that dates back to 2008. It not only shows the trauma such abuse can cause, but how permanent it can remain in the victim's mind. We see this girl in different stages of her life. It all varies by setting and time, but what never changes is the appearance of this tentacle thing, which slithers over her body. It's a physical manifestation of one's trauma, something that'll always linger unless they're helped. Yet, she isn't, and she's even shown in a nursing home with the tentacle still attached to her. It's only after she dies that it slithers away. Now, the look of the tentacle is what's really disturbing here. The design is questionable at best, as it's this hairy, long, and skin-like substance that many compare to a penis. It's possible that this was intentional, but it's jarring nonetheless.
Le récit de l'action, voici le fait de la composition de
And I was lucky my uncle didn't say anything.
They smell Killington, those areas will get some snow. Everyone else in the world.
Every cigarette is doing you damage. The National Tobacco Campaign. This was a massive campaign targeted at Australia, specifically those in the country who smoke cigarettes. A total of 7 PSAs were released in the late 90s, each showing the damage constant smoking can do to various organs. And they don't hold back, literally cutting open actual organs to show the disgusting side effects. They each begin with someone lighting up a cigarette. Before we see the smoke traveling through their body, some will cut to a science lab where gruesome studies are demonstrated. Sticky fat deposits are squeezed out of the aorta, the main artery of the heart. A lung is cut open and covered in tar to show how much of the stuff appears in an average smoker's lifetime. And one will show a brain being cut in half to show major blood clotting.
Every cigarette is doing you damage. Smoking creates blood clots which can cause strokes. Some strokes kill, blind or paralyze. Others you don't even know you're having. This is the result of a minor stroke in a smoker aged 38. Every cigarette is doing you damage. Call Quitline Free on 0800 778 778.
Other ads use CGI to demonstrate other side effects, like one where a man's eyes are stretched open to gaze into his blood vessels.
Doing you damage. Chemicals from tobacco smoke get into your bloodstream and can damage the delicate blood vessels inside your eye. We now know that smoking is a major cause of irreversible blindness. Every cigarette is doing you damage.
They're all just flat out disgusting, and clearly a reaction the campaign was looking for. The other 3 ads I have yet to mention include one of a heart attack, eroding lungs, and how lung cancer starts. The narration and music are clever add-ons to this, enhancing this sort of horror vibe to really get to people.
Every cigarette is doing you damage. Lungs are like sponges with millions of tiny air sacs for transferring oxygen. Every breath of tobacco smoke attacks them. No wonder smokers feel short of breath. Their lungs are rotting. Every cigarette is doing you damage.
Shame on You, DOE Road Safety. There's a good chance you've heard of this one due to its entirely shocking nature and how goofy it is on rewatch. Despite that, first-time viewers won't expect the PSA's final outcome, at least not fully. It shows a class of elementary schoolers going on some sort of a nature field trip, interlaced with shots of a man heading to work. Playing overhead is the song Sweet O Child of Mine, originally sung by Guns N' Roses, but here is sung by some female Irish woman. The man swerves into a wall and crushed all the children.
Oh, sweet child of mine.
Since 2000, speeding has killed a classroom of our children.
Oh,
shame on you.
Sweet love of mine.
You can never control the consequences if you speed.
It's a bit comical when you think about it, as the kids just sit there as the car smushes them all to death. No blood is shown, which is more realistic, but it's a TV commercial. And even with that, it still got banned from airing most times of the day, only airing after 9 PM. It was released in 2014 to those living in Northern Ireland, and is some sort of a remake of a 2000 PSA showing a boy in his backyard getting killed due to an accident. And the 2014 version was re-released with some minor edits in 2016 by Ireland's Department of Infrastructure. Despite how cheesy the effects are and the jarring messages at the end, it's so bizarre and unnerving.
Monsters, Fragile Childhood, a Finnish PSA from around 2012 that has circulated online to the point of near virality. It shows different scenarios of kids out and about, with one thing in common, their parents. The music builds up before we see the face of this girl's father, that of a giant monstrous rabbit. His blank eyes stare into hers as we are then introduced to some of the other monsters. These are the Grim Reaper, a zombie, this twisted clown, a demented version of Santa Claus, and this father has this weird burglar mask on. He slams the door on the child and the music chimes out. The end message and the creepy music is what sells this for me. All these creatures are the manifestations of what children see when their parents are heavily drinking. There's even the message, how do our children see us when we've been drinking? Well, this PSA is pretty well known. Something you may not know about is that there were some print versions, though these don't show the more disturbing aspects.
Surgery, wannabesquarecom. Right off the bat, this one starts out like the intro to one of the Saw movies. We see a scientist open up this secret laboratory where 3 men rest in beds. Each has these metal boxes over their heads, which are nailed shut. The only part of them that's visible at first is their eyes through an opening slit. One by one, their faces are revealed, with some of the most intense editing you'll see here. 2 of the men have square-shaped heads, looking at themselves in a mirror with awe. You would think that looking like this would horrify them, but they instead show excitement. The subversion is that the only man without this gross modification is shocked to learn that he has not changed. He's electrocuted back into the metal box before the logo of the site appears.
Incredibile.
Ci sento quasi.
Obviously, this is a clever spin on the name Wannabe Square, which used this ad to promote their 2007 campaign. This was a guerrilla marketing stunt to sell the upcoming 2008 Scion XB. Much of this was cataloged on the website, but is partially lost. This commercial itself was what launched a search for the unfound material, as one of the writers of this commercial reposted it to their YouTube channel.
Top Chef, WSIB, part of a series of PIFs done in Canada, trying to preach the message that there are really no accidents, one of which shows a construction worker exploding off of a building and hitting a truck, while another has a department store employee falling off of a ladder and landing on some displays. But this one grew the most infamy, as many Canadian kids saw this air back in 2007. We see a chef preparing a meal while telling us her goals in life. She wants to be a head chef and has a loving fiancé. She would be getting married this weekend, if not for a supposed accident about to happen to her. But it wasn't really an accident, as more could have been done to prevent it. She then slips on the ground due to grease, and hot boiling water lands all over her face. She screams in utter agony as her face is entirely burned. The visual of that and her screams are horrifying, especially to younger viewers who saw this back in the day.
I'm the sous chef here. With any luck, I should be head chef by next year. I've got this amazing fiancé, who I won't be marrying this weekend, because I'm about to be in a terrible accident. But really, I should have cleaned up the grease over there, and they should never put the deep fryer so close.
Somebody help me!
Creepy Horses, Two Horses. More of an online ad released to YouTube in 2013. Directed by the one and only Doug Garth Williams, the company Two Horses is a tattoo and hair boutique placed in Montreal, which tried to employ this insanely creepy marketing scheme to make more people aware about their brand. It starts with this man entering his horse's stable to discover that his prized beasts are gone. In their place are two girls who turned around and reveal themselves as the horses. Very humanoid ones who creepily stare at him. They make moaning noises for a solid minute, which then transitions into horse noises. This understandably scares off the man, who runs away in fright. That's it. Barely any mention of the brand itself, just some nightmare fuel that belongs on Adult Swim. The prosthetics are pretty well made, until you notice the two actresses' real mouths from inside the fake ones.
Little Baby's Ice Cream. This entry is for every commercial this company has released, as they're highly fucked up. 3 in particular are directed by Doug Garth Williams, the same man who made the previous entry's commercial. Little Baby's Ice Cream is a now defunct ice cream brand located in several big American cities, such as Washington DC, Philadelphia, and Baltimore. These ads were dumped straight on YouTube, as I'm sure nobody would have wanted these to air on television. The first ad, released in May 2012, is called Love Lickers. It shows this humanoid ice cream person named Malcolm sitting inside of a large cone. It's being licked by a larger version of itself, which is also being licked in this hellish paradox. This haunting carnival music plays with the chilling narration done by Matthias Bossi, who did the same for the other ads.
Go ahead and lick something. We lick you very much. If you want to lick something, lick us. We love to lick. We lick to love. We're love lickers. Little baby's ice cream. Ice cream is a feeling.
Next is This Is a Special Time, released in August 2012. It's even creepier as Malcolm is shown eating ice cream from the top of its head. It stares at you with this mischievous grin as the narrator gives us insight into what it's thinking.
There's good reason for my glistening skin. And how I shine. And how my pores are so clean and clear. I eat little baby's ice cream. It keeps me young. It keeps me light on my feet. I spring from activity to activity. I love my job. I love my life. When you eat little baby's ice cream, you'll wink and nod and hug and high-five each other with great enthusiasm. This is a special time. Little baby's ice cream. Ice cream is a feeling.
Yep, nothing like some of that classic cannibalism stuff in an ice cream commercial. The person who's playing Malcolm is actually a woman who had marshmallow paste plastered all over her. She went by the name Asia and conducted a Reddit AMA, explaining her experiences on set. The final commercial from Doug came out 2 years later, titled Eyes Scream. The gist of it is that these people all have mouths for eyes and scream in delight in response to eating their favorite dessert. Definitely not at the same level as the first two, but still pretty damn weird in its own right.
Eyes scream. You scream. We all scream for little baby's ice cream. Handmade super premium Philadelphia style ice cream. Available in a rainbow of delicious flavors. Little baby's ice cream. Ice cream is a feeling.
Sunday Lunch, Southwark Council. A truly chilling PSA that got shown in many British cinemas in 2006. It starts out with a family having a Sunday lunch, where one of the men offers to pick up the kids from school the next day. The topic then shifts to a recent shooting involving a friend, where it's implied that a gang war is going on. The men want to do something about it, planning to retaliate while recommending the kids stay inside for it. As this goes on, the others slowly take action. She reaches for a pistol and shoots her son right in the head. Everyone else freaks out, with one guy even puking. It's a really disturbing sight to see, as the true intentions of the PSA are laid out. It reads, "If you keep quiet about gun crime, it's like pulling the trigger yourself." There's not a more brutal way to showcase this message than by having a young kid get shot in the head, with his blood spraying out all over the dining room. It's one hell of a twist that really sticks with viewers.
No brainer. NSAD. The New Zealand Society on Alcohol and Drug Dependence went rightfully overboard when presenting what cocaine does to one's brain. A partygoer heads to the bathroom to ingest some, represented by some of the most horrifying body horror you will ever see. He rips open the top of his head to reveal his exposed brain, which already has chunks taken out. He rips a new one out and places it on the toilet seat, using his credit card to chop it up into pieces. Simulating snorting cocaine, he ingests the bloody bits into his nose, with some eerie buzzing noises emerging from the background. More is then snorted before leaving the stall. He happened to have left his credit card on the toilet, which might have been intentional by the PSA. The last part reads, "Every day, more and more people are lining up to destroy themselves." No brainer is just graphic, disturbing, and all around an uncomfortable watch.
Lockout, Tagout, CSST. This final PSA goes by many names, and is more obscure due to seemingly airing in a foreign country. It's usually just referred to as a work safety PSA, as it deals with a factory accident that could have easily been avoided. A man puts on headphones as he begins operating some massive machinery. He turns it on, but before being told to stop by his supervisor, he realizes that his reckless actions ended the life of a fellow co-worker, who had his face crushed. Imagery of that alone marks this as one of the most unnerving commercials ever, as you literally witness a man's brutal end. This was meant to reinforce the use of lockout tags, which could have prevented any of this from happening.